The air in Brooksville was thick with the scent of pine and rain when Grace Dawson first stepped out of her car. The gravel crunched softly beneath her shoes as she stared at the house she'd bought, a two-story countryside home with peeling white paint, tall windows, and ivy crawling up one side like green veins. It looked old, maybe too old, but something about it felt peaceful. After years of noise and chaos in the city, Grace wanted silence, and this house promised exactly that. Her husband Tom was still unloading boxes from the trunk. "Looks better in person, huh?" he called out with a smile. Grace nodded, though her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. "It's perfect," she said softly, running her fingers along the wooden porch railing. The wood was cold, almost damp. Inside, the house smelled faintly of lavender and dust. Sunlight streamed through the lace curtains, catching the particles floating in the air. Each room was a mix of charm and age, creaking floors, old wallpaper, and antique furniture left behind by whoever had owned it before. But what caught Grace's attention most were the mirrors. There were at least 5 of them, each hanging in a different room, all old, all slightly warped. One in particular at the end of the hallway was massive. Its golden frame was covered in intricate carvings of flowers and vines. The glass shimmered strangely in the afternoon light. "Creepy, right?" Tom joked as he carried a box past her. "I'll take it down later." Grace shook her head, transfixed. "No, it's beautiful," she whispered. That night, after unpacking, they shared dinner at the small wooden table near the kitchen window. The rain began to fall softly, drumming against the roof like a lullaby. Grace felt something she hadn't felt in months: calm. When Tom went upstairs, she lingered for a moment, sipping her tea, watching her reflection in the window. But as she stood to leave, something made her pause. In the reflection of the hallway mirror, the big one, she saw herself walking away. Except she hadn't moved yet. She froze, staring. Her reflection caught up a second later, perfectly synchronized again. She let out a small, nervous laugh. "You're just tired," she whispered to herself, shaking her head. She turned off the lights and went upstairs. The wind howled outside that night, rattling the windows. Grace tossed and turned, the sound of the rain merging with her thoughts. Around 2 a.m., she woke suddenly, not from noise but from silence. The house had gone completely still. No rain, no creaks, nothing. Then she heard it, a faint tap, tap, tap coming from downstairs. Tom was asleep beside her, breathing steadily. Grace slipped out of bed, her bare feet silent against the wooden floor. The air was colder now, almost biting. She crept down the stairs, following the faint tapping sound. It led her to the hallway. The mirror at the end glowed faintly in the dark, reflecting only the dim outline of the window behind her. She took a step closer. The tapping stopped. For a moment all was still, until her reflection blinked. Grace gasped, stumbling back. Her hand flew to her mouth. The mirror stood silently, her reflection staring back with calm, empty eyes. She waited, heart pounding, but it didn't move again. The sound of footsteps on the stairs broke her trance. Tom's sleepy voice called, "Grace? What are you doing up?" She looked at him, then back at the mirror, but everything was normal again. Her reflection stood still, perfectly matched. "I thought I heard something," she murmured. Tom yawned. "This place makes weird noises. Go back to bed." Grace nodded, but her eyes lingered on the mirror one last time before she followed him upstairs. As they disappeared into their room, the camera would slowly pan back toward the mirror, so showing, just for a second, Grace's reflection still standing there, smiling faintly even though she was gone. The evening sun dipped low, spreading a golden-orange glow across the horizon as Alex and Leo made their way deeper into the forest. The rustling leaves whispered around them, and the air carried an eerie calm. Every step they took seemed to echo louder than usual, as if the forest itself was listening. Leo stopped suddenly. "Did you hear that?" he whispered, his eyes scanning the trees. Alex turned toward him, frowning. Probably just the wind. But Leo wasn't convinced. His flashlight beam trembled slightly as he pointed it toward the thick undergrowth. For a moment nothing moved. Then in a faint shimmer, it looked like a reflection, like moonlight bouncing off glass, except there was no moon yet. They moved closer. The shimmer pulsed faintly, illuminating the shape of a strange metallic object half buried in the soil. It wasn't large, perhaps the size of a football, but it was unlike anything they had seen. Smooth, seamless, and engraved with faint symbols that glowed dimly. "What the hell is that?" Alex muttered, kneeling down. "Don't touch it," Leo warned, but it was too late. Alex brushed off the dirt and the object responded with a low hum. The ground beneath them vibrated faintly. Both boys stumbled back as a thin beam of light shot upward from the object, splitting the darkness. The forest seemed to come alive. The trees swayed without wind. Birds scattered, and for a few seconds, the hum turned into a high-pitched sound that made their ears ring. Then silence. The beam vanished as suddenly as it had appeared. What was that? Leo gasped, clutching his ears. Alex stared at the now dim and motionless object. It's some kind of device, maybe ancient tech or military. We should take it with us. Are you insane? Leo shot back. We don't even know what it is. What if it's radioactive? But curiosity had already taken over Alex. He wrapped the object in his jacket and stuffed it into his backpack. We'll figure it out later. As they turned to leave, a faint movement caught Leo's eye. About 50 feet away, behind the line of trees, a tall, shadowy figure stood completely still. It was humanoid, but not quite human. Its posture was too straight, too rigid. A faint glint of red light flickered where its eyes should be. Alex? Leo's voice dropped to a whisper. We're not alone. Alex followed his gaze. His breath caught in his throat as the figure began to move. Slow, deliberate steps toward them. Run, Leo shouted. They bolted through the trees, branches whipping their faces, the sound of their own footsteps mixing with the steady, unnatural thud behind them. The forest, once familiar, now felt like a maze. Every direction looked the same. Alex clutched his backpack tightly, feeling the strange object vibrate inside. When they finally stopped to catch their breath, they were at the edge of an old, dried-up riverbed. The forest was silent again. No footsteps, no hum, nothing. Did we lose it? Leo asked, panting. I think so, Alex replied, glancing around. But we can't go back the same way. We'll take the long route out. Leo nodded, but his eyes lingered on the shadows between the trees. He could have sworn he saw movement again, just for a second, like something slipping behind the trunks, silently following them, unseen by either of them. High above in the forest canopy, a small drone-like shape hovered. Its red eye blinked once, then twice, before silently vanishing into the darkening sky. By the time Alex and Leo reached the old cabin, night had swallowed the forest whole. The structure stood in eerie isolation, its wooden walls cracked and gray, its windows covered in dust and cobwebs. The air was cold now, colder than it should have been for a summer night. Even the usual forest sounds, crickets, frogs, rustling leaves, had gone silent as though the woods were holding their breath. Alex pushed the creaky door open. We'll stay here till morning, he said, his voice low. Leo hesitated. Are you sure about this place? It looks like it's been abandoned for years. That's the point, Alex replied, stepping inside. No one will find us here. The inside smelled of damp wood and decay. A few broken chairs lay scattered across the floor, and the remains of an old fireplace sat at one corner. Dust hung thick in the air, swirling through the faint glow of their flashlights. They found an old table and set their things down. Leo couldn't stop glancing at Alex's backpack. That thing, is it still glowing? Alex unzipped the bag slightly. The metallic orb inside pulsed faintly like a slow heartbeat. Just a little. Maybe it's still charging or something. Charging? Leo muttered, shaking his head. You talk like this is some kind of gadget. What if it's alive? Alex ignored the remark. We'll figure it out in the morning. Let's just rest. They sat near the fireplace, trying to shake off the chill, but the unease wouldn't leave. The forest outside seemed to whisper, branches creaking softly, almost rhythmically. Then there was a sound, faint but distinct, a metallic click, followed by a low hum. Leo stiffened. Alex, did you hear that? Before Alex could answer, the object began to vibrate violently inside the backpack. The pulsing light grew brighter, casting strange moving patterns across the cabin walls. The air filled with static energy. Their hair stood on end. What's happening? Leo shouted. The orb suddenly lifted itself into the air, breaking free from the bag. It hovered in front of them, spinning slowly. Symbols on its surface lit up, rearranging in patterns they couldn't decipher. Then the light expanded. A holographic projection formed above it, showing something like a map, but not of Earth. Distant stars, strange constellations, lines connecting unknown worlds. Alex's eyes widened. It's showing us something. Maybe it's a message. But before they could process what they were seeing, the cabin lights flickered. A heavy thud came from outside, then another and another. Slow, deliberate footsteps approached. Leo's voice trembled. It's here again. The footsteps stopped right outside the door. Silence. Then a sharp metallic scraping sound, like claws dragging across the wood. Alex grabbed a broken piece of furniture, his hands shaking. The door handle began to turn, slowly, deliberately, as if whoever or whatever was outside was testing their fear. Suddenly the orb shot back down, its light flickering violently. A beam of blue light burst outward, striking the door and pushing it shut with a loud slam. The footsteps retreated into the forest. For a few long seconds, neither of them spoke. The only sound was the faint hum of the orb, now dim and motionless again. Leo finally whispered, "That thing just protected us." Alex stared at it, his breathing unsteady. Or it's protecting itself. They didn't sleep that night. Every creak of the cabin made them jump. Outside, unseen shapes seemed to move in the darkness, circling. The air grew heavier, electric, as if the entire forest was alive and aware of what they had found. As dawn began to break, a faint mist rolled in. The orb pulsed once more, faint but deliberate, as though signaling them. Alex met Leo's eyes. It wants us to follow. As the first light of dawn filtered through the trees, the forest looked deceptively peaceful. Birds had returned, chirping softly in the cold morning air, but Alex and Leo could still still feel the weight of the night before pressing down on them. The orb, now silent and dim, rested on the dusty table looking almost ordinary. Alex leaned forward. It reacted to something last night. Those footsteps, maybe? Leo rubbed his tired eyes. I don't care what it reacted to, man. That thing's not normal. We should leave it here and go. But Alex wasn't listening. He was already reaching for it. As soon as his fingers brushed the metallic surface, the orb flickered back to life, faint blue light spreading like veins across its body. This time it didn't float or hum. Instead, a small opening appeared on one side, revealing what looked like a slit for some kind of card or key. Leo took a cautious step back. Oh, come on. You're not actually touching that again, are you? Alex's curiosity was unstoppable now. Leo, what if this is alien tech or ancient military stuff? This could explain the disappearances. Maybe it's been here all along, buried under this forest. Before Leo could protest, the orb emitted a soft, rhythmic beeping sound. Then a projection appeared. Not a star map like before, but a series of symbols rapidly changing as if trying to communicate. One of the symbols kept repeating, a hand reaching downward toward a pit. Leo frowned. What's that supposed to mean? Alex thought for a moment. Maybe it's showing us where it came from. The orb's light suddenly shifted toward the cabin's back wall, illuminating a faint outline, almost like a doorway, hidden beneath layers of rotted wood. They hadn't noticed it before. Was that there yesterday? Leo whispered. Alex shook his head. No, let's see what's behind it. They began clearing the debris. Behind the wooden panels, they uncovered a narrow passage leading underground. The air was damp and stale, carrying a faint metallic scent. Each step echoed ominously as they descended into the dark. Their flashlights flickered, and strange carvings appeared on the stone walls, the same symbols the orb had projected: circles, spirals, and the image of a human hand surrounded by lines of light. At the bottom of the tunnel, they reached a small stone chamber. In its center stood an ancient-looking pedestal, covered in dust. The orb in Alex's hand started to glow brighter as they approached, almost like it recognized the place. He placed it gently onto the pedestal. The ground trembled slightly, and a low hum filled the chamber. Blue light spread across the walls, tracing the carvings and bringing them to life. Then an image formed in the air above the pedestal, a blurry hologram of a man. His face was obscured, voice distorted, but his words were chillingly clear. If you found this, it means the cycle has begun again. Do not trust the signals. They are not human. The projection glitched, repeating fragments. Containment breach. They're already among us. Stop the transmission. Leo's voice shook. What does he mean, they? Who's among us? The hologram vanished, leaving only the echo of its last words. Stop the transmission before it's too late. Then the orb dimmed completely. Silence. Alex looked at Leo, his face pale. Leo, I think this is what those people died trying to stop. Before they could say more, a faint sound echoed from above. Footsteps again. Heavier this time. More deliberate. Someone, or something, was walking across the cabin floor directly above them. Leo whispered, Alex, we're not alone. The light from the tunnel flickered. Dust rained from the ceiling. The footsteps grew louder. And then from the darkness behind them, a cold metallic voice spoke, low and distorted but unmistakably human-like. You shouldn't have activated it. Both froze. The air turned thick and electric. Alex slowly turned his flashlight toward the voice, but the beam hit only a shadow, humanoid but wrong, its edges flickering like static. Leo grabbed Alex's arm. We have to get out now! But the tunnel behind them began to collapse, rocks falling and sealing their only exit. The last thing they heard before everything went dark was that same mechanical whisper repeating, the transmission must continue. Darkness swallowed the tunnel as debris fell around them, dust choking the air. Alex coughed, shielding his face with his arm while his flashlight flickered weakly. Leo gripped his shoulder tightly, panic written all over his face. Alex, we're trapped, Leo shouted over the rumble. Alex's light steadied, revealing the crumbled passage behind them. No, we can still make it through the side tunnel. I saw a crack near the pedestal. The eerie blue glow from the orb, still resting on the stone platform, flickered again, as if responding to their fear. The strange metallic voice they'd heard moments ago had gone silent, but its echo seemed to linger in the air, vibrating through the walls. They found a narrow opening and squeezed through, crawling into another chamber. This one was different, cleaner, smoother. The walls weren't stone anymore. They were metal. It looked like something built, not carved. The temperature dropped instantly, and both of their breath came out in foggy puffs. Leo's voice trembled. What is this place? It's like we're inside a machine. Alex ran his hand along the wall. It was humming, faintly pulsing with energy. I think this is what the message was about. This whole forest. It's hiding something underneath. A sudden flash of light filled the room. The orb had followed them, floating again, its light pure white this time. Then the metal wall shifted, literally moved like the chamber was alive. A circular panel in the wall slid open, revealing what looked like a suspended glass cylinder filled with a dark, swirling liquid. Inside it was a shape, humanoid, motionless. Leo stumbled backward. No, tell me that's not what I think it is. Alex stepped closer, his voice barely a whisper. It's human, or something close. The orb drifted toward the glass tube. Symbols appeared around the cylinder, glowing red now. A deep mechanical hum grew louder. Then a distorted voice came through again, but this time it wasn't from the shadows. It was from inside the glass. Cycle initiated. Subject transfer complete. Containment breach neutralization in progress. The figure inside the glass twitched, then moved. Its eyes opened, black empty voids, and its mouth stretched into an unnatural grin. Leo screamed, pulling Alex away. It's alive! We have to go! But the door behind them sealed shut. The orb's light grew blinding, forcing them to shield their faces. Through the glare, Alex saw a sequence of images flash before him. Faces, forests, bodies. All the victims whose disappearances had filled the news for years. They were being absorbed one by one into this same machine, and then it hit him. The holographic man's message wasn't a warning about aliens invading Earth. It was a warning about humans experimenting with something beyond their control. This was no alien artifact. It was human technology, built to open a communication channel to something that should never have been reached. Alex shouted over the roar of energy. Leo, the orb, it's the key. We have to destroy it. Leo nodded, fear in his eyes but determination in his voice. Then do it now! Alex grabbed the orb. It pulsed violently, resisting his grip, sending painful jolts up his arm. The voice in the chamber screamed, overlapping with mechanical static. Do not interfere. Transmission must continue. With one final push, Alex hurled the orb into the glass cylinder. The moment it hit, the entire chamber exploded in white light. The ground shook, metal shrieked, and the humanoid figure inside let out an ear-piercing scream before the glass shattered. And then, silence. When Alex opened his eyes, he was lying in the forest. The cabin was gone. The sun was high. Birds were chirping again. Leo was beside him, unconscious but breathing. There was no sign of the tunnel, no debris, just untouched earth and trees. He sat up slowly, disoriented. Leo, wake up. Leo groaned, rubbing his head. What happened? Alex looked around. It's like it never existed. But as he stood, something cold brushed against his ankle. He looked down and froze. Half buried in the dirt was the metallic orb, cracked but still faintly glowing. A single red symbol pulsed on its surface, the same hand reaching downward toward the pit. Leo's voice broke the silence. Alex, what do we do now? Alex stared at the orb, the forest unnervingly calm around them. We run, he said quietly, because whatever that was, it's not over. As they turned to leave, a faint whisper echoed through the trees, metallic and distant, almost like it was coming from the wind itself. Cycle reactivated.